although Satya doesn't know anything about Sha'alvim necessarily, I think he codified it in a way that makes a lot of sense. And it allows you to also, I think, approach conversations, approach situations with a certain sense of humility that, hey, I don't know everything there is to know. I can learn something from every person that I interact with every day.
Through our conversation about your travels, we've come onto so many values. You spoke about trust and empathy and giving back to the community. Are there any other core values that you have learned throughout the years, developed throughout the years? You also mentioned in the beginning, I'll add maybe a part two to this question, is that you mentioned that a lot of things in Shalavim that you learned actually were expressed or understood or really clicked to you at a later point in life. So I'm wondering if other, important values from Yeshiva or not from Yeshiva that you learned throughout your journey that we haven't yet touched on.
Yeah, I would probably point to two. The first is something that my previous CEO, Satya Nadella, said when he became the CEO, and I think it's tremendous, tremendous insight, particularly from Jews. You need to be a learn-it-all person, not a know-it-all person. A lot of people approach conversations, from the standpoint of I know everything there is to know about this, which might be true. You might actually know more than the person. But if you approach every interaction and every conversation as a learn it all person, you're going to be a richer person. That was something that they didn't use that exact, lashon at Shalvim, but at Shalvim it was always about being a worldly person, about being able to sort of take the best from everyone that you met and apply it to your Yiddishkeit, let's say. And I think although Satya doesn't know anything about Shalvim necessarily, I think he codified it in a way that makes a lot of sense. And it allows you to also, I think, approach conversations, approach situations with a certain sense of humility that, hey, I don't know everything there is to know. I can learn something from every person that I interact with every day. And I think that's a tremendous insight for people. The other that I talk about a lot that my business partner Gershon and I talk about a lot in our company is being an outside in company. We talked about this a little bit earlier that the truth is found at your customer or partner. So, you could sort of sit in the proverbial ivory tower and come up with a bunch of products and come up with a bunch of things. But we always took the opposite approach at Nerdio. At Nerdio, we always start with the customer and work our way back in. What do they need? What are the pain points that we're trying to solve? And that's what guides us 100% of the time. Of course, we have our own ideas. Of course, we have our own IP, our own things that we think will work, but we always test those with customers to make sure. So being an outside in person in a way is very much like being a learn it all person as well. And I think those two values or core values, if you will, are something that stayed with me for a long time.